champions, my name is Coach Cassidy. I want to thank you guys for hopping on this live with me today. We are going to be going over some preschool stretches and some conditioning. I'm super excited for it, so let's go ahead and jump in and get started. So just to warm up our bodies a little bit, we're going to get moving, and we're going to start with just a little bit of running in place. So we're going to run, just kind of slow. We're not going to go too fast. We're going to keep it at a good pace. Run, and then we're going to go faster, and run, and slow it back down. Slow it back down a little bit. And then we're going to go faster and run. Fast. And slow it back down. And we're going to do it one more time. We're going to run. And now we're going to start. That's going to be our running start. Now we're going to work on our jumping. So we're going to start feet together, and our starting position is going to be where we're standing now. So whatever direction I ask you to jump in, whenever I say go back home, that's where we're going to be standing right now. That'll be our home spot. So first we're just going to swing our arms from the back to the front, jump forwards, and then we're going to swing them backwards. We're going to jump backwards. We're going to swing forwards, jump forwards, and jump backwards. So that's our forwards, backwards jump. Now if I say jump backwards, we're going to jump backwards and then jump back to our home, back to our starting spot. We're going to jump backwards and then go back home. That's our backwards to forwards jump. If we say go to your left, which is my left going this way, if it's your right, then that's okay, but we're going to go this direction. We're going to jump to the side and go back home. We're going to jump to the side and go back home. Now we're going to jump to the other side. We're going to jump to the side and jump back home. Jump to the side and jump back home. Okay, so now we'll either say jump forwards, jump backwards, jump to the side, and I'll point to which side we're going to jump to, or I'll say jump to the side and I'll point this way. Okay, and we're going to see if you guys can keep up. So we're just going to start in our home, and we're going to jump forwards and go back home. We're going to jump forwards and go back home. Now we're going to jump to the side and go back home. Jump to the side and go back home. Now we're going to the other side and go back home. Jump to the side and go back home. Okay, now we're going to speed it up a little bit because I think we probably have it down. Okay, we're going to jump forwards, back home. Jump to the side and back home. Jump to the side and back home. Jump backwards and back home. Jump forwards, home. Side, home. Backwards, home. Side, home. Now we're going to do it kind of fast. Now we're going to really speed it up. So we're going to jump forwards to the side, forwards to the side, forwards, side, forwards, side. That was pretty fast. If you guys could keep up, you are awesome. Okay, so now that we've got our heart rate up a little bit, we've got our blood pumping, we're jumping around, we're getting warmed up and ready, we're gonna go ahead and start stretching. So to start stretching, we're gonna go arm circles. We're gonna circle forwards, 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 making them really big. We don't want small arm circles. We want big arm circles. Try and draw the biggest circles you can with your arms. Forwards, really big, stretching those shoulders. We go 3, 2, 1. Now we're gonna go backwards with our arm circles. We're gonna go backwards, really big arm circles. Really big. Big circles. Now we're gonna go little circles. Smaller circles than we just did. Little bitty circles. Now we're gonna go forwards. Small circles forwards. Small circles forwards. And we're gonna do some scissor arms. So we're gonna switch them side and then the other side. We're gonna go across one arm, across the other arm. Across one arm, across the other arm. One arm, then the other arm. And shake our arms out. Definitely got my shoulders burning. I hope y'all's is too. We're working out hard together. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into our stretch. we are gonna start in butterfly. And I love to pick a color for my butterfly. So today, I'm gonna be yellow with orange polka dots. You guys can pick whatever color you wanna be. I don't think I've ever changed it. I think I've always been the same color because I just love the color pink. So normally I'm pink with silver sparkles, but today I'm gonna change it. So you guys pick whatever color butterfly you wanna be, and we're gonna flap our wings. We're gonna lift our legs up and down, just like butterflies do. Our legs are gonna look just like their wings. And we're gonna flap, 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 flap. Now, we're gonna go down and put our nose to our toes and smell our toes, but some of us might have some stinky feet. And if we've been playing outside or if we've been running around, we might have stinky feet. So if we have stinky feet, you can hold your nose so you don't have to smell your toes, and then you can go down to your toes. But if you don't have stinky feet, then you can just go down to our toes. So we're gonna go down to our toes and we're gonna count to 10 together, okay? Can you guys count with me? We're gonna put our nose to our toes, or as close as we can get our nose to our toes. And we're gonna count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Awesome job, guys. Okay, now that we've done our butterfly, what we're gonna do before we switch to our pike stretch is we are going to take our hands and we're gonna place them on our knees. To help some of our hip flexibility, we want to place our hands on our knees and just gently push our knees to the ground. Okay, if you can't get them to the ground, that's totally fine. That's why we're stretching. We want to stretch out our muscles to help get a little bit more flexible. So just a little bit of pressure just to add some extra stretch to this butterfly stretch. Not only did we lean forward, but we want to make sure we're stretching everything we can. Okay, so now we're gonna sit in a pike. If you guys didn't know that this is called a pike, it is. Pike is when our legs are together and they're super, super straight. Our toes can be pointed or they can be flexed. Okay, so we're gonna go over some pointing and flexing. We're gonna point our toes. So when you point your toes, you don't wanna see your toenails or your toes. You wanna hide them. So hide them the best you can, and then we'll flex them, and that's when we get to see them. Then we can see our toes from there. Then we're gonna point and flex. Point and flex. And if you notice, we wanna squeeze our legs tight together so that we're tight. And when we're pointing, we are stretching our legs a different way than we are when we're flexing. Okay, so whenever you point, you're gonna feel a little bit more stretch in the top of your legs. And when you flex, you're gonna feel a little bit in the top, or not when you flex, when you, flex your toes, you're gonna feel a little bit more stretching in the top, but also in the bottom, okay? So that's why we do both, so we can get kind of the opposite stretches on both, okay? So, pointing our toes and flexing. Pointing and flexing. Whenever you point, you should be able to feel your leg muscles at the top, your quads should be hard, because we're squeezing really, really tight, and we're pointing straight legs. And then when we flex, we still wanna have really, really tight, hard leg muscles at the top. And that's what we're building when we do conditioning, which we're gonna do later, is building our leg muscles so we can feel them whenever we're stretching and squeezing our legs tight. Okay, we're gonna point one, flex one. Point, flex, switch, 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 and shake your legs out. Shake, 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 shake. Awesome job. Okay, now with our pike stretch, we are gonna make a sandwich today because I am a little hungry. I could use a snack. It's about midday, so it's about time. So for our sandwich today, you can make any kind of sandwich you wanna make. I'm gonna make a peanut butter and jelly because that just sounds super yummy to me, but you put whatever you want on your sandwich. So I'm gonna start with strawberry jelly. You pick one ingredient. I'm gonna get my jelly and I'm going to spread it out all over my legs, okay? My legs are gonna act as my bottom piece of bread, so we don't wanna miss any spots. I'm gonna put a little bit on my arms, a little bit on my belly, a little bit on my shoulders. Now I'm gonna get some jelly. So I'm gonna pick up some jelly, and I'm going to, actually I think I just did jelly. If I just did jelly, then I'm getting peanut butter. I think I did jelly first, so we will do peanut butter now. For my peanut butter, I'm going to spread it all over. Same thing, all over my arms. Don't miss a spot. We want to get all of our bread all over my chest, all over my belly, all over my shoulders. Okay, I think mine looks pretty good. If you need to add anything extra, go ahead and add some extra. But if we're ready to smush our sandwich, we're gonna go arms up, We're gonna flex our toes so we can grab the end of them and close our sandwich. And we're gonna close our sandwich. And we're gonna lift back up. And we're gonna close our sandwich. And lift back up. And close it and smush it. Go down as far as you can. Try and smush your bread together. And now we're done. Awesome job, you guys. Eat your sandwich. Enjoy it because you made it, and I bet it is delicious. So enjoy it. Now we're gonna move to straddle. So in straddle, we wanna make sure that we sit with our legs sitting in a straddle, and this is what a straddle is. In a straddle too, we can point our toes and we can flex them, okay? So in between our stretches that we're doing, it's great. If we're reaching to one side to be able to point and flex, those are awesome, awesome stretches to make sure that we're stretching both sides of our legs. So we're gonna start with this side and we're gonna get, you can pick any animal you want to. I was gonna do a spider, but you can pick any animal you want to. And we're just gonna crawl down our leg to our toes and crawl back. Now we're gonna do the other side. We're gonna crawl down to our toes and crawl back. Other side, crawl down to your toes and crawl back. Down to your toes and crawl back. Now this time we're gonna crawl down to our toes and we're gonna hold it. We're gonna touch our nose to our knee. If you can't touch your nose to your knee, that is totally okay. We just try and do your best to get there. These stretches, if we do them every day, we're slowly but surely going to get our nose to our toes. So it's great to do these every day, not just when we have fun live videos that we get to do together, but doing them every day on your own is gonna help us get our nose to our knee faster. So we're gonna walk our hands out, nose to our knee, and we're gonna hold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now we're gonna do the same thing for the other side. We're gonna walk our hands out to our toes and nose to your knee and hold for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, same thing with the middle. We're gonna walk our toes out. I mean, not our toes, we're gonna walk our fingers out. Whatever bug you wanna pick, or you can just walk your fingers out all the way out and all the way back. All the way out and all the way back. As far as you can get comfortably. Once you start feeling the stretch, definitely pause and hold that stretch where you're at. You don't wanna go too far because then we might hurt our muscles and we don't wanna do that. So make sure that we go all the way out and all the way back. And this time, we're gonna hold it together. Okay, so we're gonna crawl out, 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 and we're gonna hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's it, just 10. All done. Okay, now we're gonna move to our wrists. So to stretch our wrists, we wanna make sure you can either sit with your bottom on your heels or you can have your body just on top of your knees. Whichever one works best for you. Both are great and they're gonna do great stretching progressions for your wrists. So we'll start with fingers in front. What we wanna do is we wanna rock forwards, put a little pressure over our wrist, and then rock backwards to release some of that pressure. We rock forwards and then rock backwards. Forwards, backwards, and one more time, forwards and backwards. Now we're gonna turn our hands sideways and we're gonna smush them on the ground, and we're gonna rock to one side and hold it, and then rock to the other side. Rock to the one side, and rock to the other side. First side, second side, we're gonna do it one more time. First side, and second side. Now, we're going to show our fingers away from us, so we don't wanna see them, we wanna see the palms of our hands. And then we're gonna smush the back of our hands on the ground. Just like the first one we did, we're gonna rock back and forth. Rock backwards and hold it, and rock forwards. Rock backwards and hold the stretch, and then release some of that pressure. One more time, backwards and forwards. Okay, now we're gonna clap our hands together, we're gonna open up our book, and we're gonna read whatever book we wanna read. And whenever we're done reading our book, we're gonna show our book, and we're gonna smush our hands on the floor. So now our fingers are facing us. We're gonna rock backwards, hold it, and go forwards. And rock backwards, and rock forwards. And backwards, and rock forwards. And last time, backwards, and forwards. Okay, now we're gonna clap our hands together because we've just stretched our wrists in a lot of different directions. So we wanna make sure we softly roll our hands out. So I like to clap my hands together and then I will gently roll my wrists out. You can shake them out if you want to, just don't be too aggressive too quickly because it might hurt your wrist from all the stretching we just did. Okay, shake, 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 shake. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, moving on. We're gonna touch on our splits just for a little bit before we move on to some fun conditioning exercises. So to start off for our split, we want to make sure we sit up on our knees, and you can pick either leg. You can pick your right leg or your left leg. I'm gonna start with my right leg, and I'm just going to straighten my leg all the way out in front. And notice that my body is still on top of my knee, and I want to keep it there because if I go forwards, it's going to hurt something that we don't want to hurt, okay? So once my foot's out in front, I'm going to leave it where it's at here and just push my knee forward. And that's going to make sure that my knee is not going past my ankle or my foot. We don't want to look like this and have our knee past our foot, okay? It's not good for our ankles that way. We're not stretching appropriately. So keeping our knee on top, definitely on top of your ankle is fine, but definitely not past it. So mine's just before it. I'll put my hands on my hips and then I'm gonna try and push my body forwards. Okay, we're gonna hold this for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then we're gonna straighten our leg just like we did when we started. I'm gonna put one hand on each side and I'm gonna try and touch my nose to my knee with a straight leg. Okay, if we start to bend our leg when we're trying to touch our nose to our knee, then let your upper body come up a little bit. That normally means that we are not super flexible yet with this stretch. So we don't want to push ourselves too far before we're ready, but keeping this leg straight is super, super, super important. So once we have our nose to our knee, we are going to hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then you can slide out. Well, all we want to do, since this leg is already straight, we just want to straighten our back leg and slide as far as you can out. Now, you don't push past your limits. Like I said, we don't want to go too far. However far your legs are letting you go, that's what we want to do. Just making sure we have a straight front leg and straight back leg. Okay? So, to make sure that we're able to get to all the stuff that I want to get to today, that's going to be the exact same process for the other leg. And then you guys can do that on your own. But I want to get through and make sure that we have enough time for our stretching that we're going to do, or our conditioning that we're going to do. So our last thing, let's see, we've gone through almost everything. We did our splits. We are going to work on, I'll go over tabletops and bridges super fast, and then we will go on to our conditioning. So for a tabletop, we are going to start with our feet in front of us. We're going to start with our hands, and we're going to put them behind us. My fingertips are facing away from my body. Okay, so that's what we want. We don't want our fingertips facing us. We want them facing away. So my feet are smushed, my hands are smushed. And to do a tabletop, what we want to do is put pressure on our feet and hands and lift our bottom just like that. Okay, this is still a tabletop. And if that's as far as we can go, awesome. You're amazing. Keep going, keep practicing it. And then slowly but surely you can try and get a little bit higher and higher until we get flat, okay? What this is doing is helping us learn how to push off of our feet and our hands and lift our hips up in the air, which is gonna help us get to our next progression, which would be a bridge. So once we have that tabletop down, awesome, then we wanna move to our bridge. So for our bridge, we are going to lay flat this time. So we're not gonna start sitting down, we're gonna start laying flat. We are gonna smush our feet the same way we just did for our tabletop, and our hands will smush, but this time we wanna take our hands and we want to smush them on the ground so that our elbows are right by our heads and our fingertips are facing our feet. So we want them to be aiming towards our feet. So once we have our feet close to our bottom and our hands right by our shoulders, the same thing we did for our tabletop, we're just going to push off of our feet and hands and lift our belly up and create a bridge. So this is what it'll look like. Okay, just like this. And if we're able to get all the way up to our bridge, we can hold it, or we can just come up and come down, especially if we're new to it. But as soon as we come down, we want to make sure we come down, we get into a ball, and we rock and roll. Okay, in our bridge, our back has a really, really big arch in it, and we're putting a lot of pressure on our arch when we're in our bridge. So to make sure that we are keeping our back safe and not injuring ourselves, we want to do the exact opposite when we get down and get really, really round to overcorrect that arch we were just in. Sometimes your back will feel a little bit sore because it's a really, really big stretch for your tummy and for your back. So making sure we're rocking and rolling after will make you feel better if you're feeling a little sore in your back. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to conditioning. We are going to start with some fun ideas. So I'm going to give you guys a few ideas of conditioning we can do at home. So I'm going to kind of run through the options, show you examples of them. We'll do a little bit of it together, and then we will be wrapping it up shortly after that. So crab walks are a great coordination conditioning for younger age, even for older ages. It really doesn't matter, but since this is a preschool video, this is a great one to do with preschoolers. So crab is going to be similar to the tabletop position we were just in. We're going to smush our feet, smush our hands. We lift our bottom just a little bit, so this one's a little bit lower. You can lift as high as you want to, but just a little bit, because in a crab walk, we're going to be moving. So we're going to move hands and feet to try and walk around. Okay, so this one would be fun to try and walk around the house if we have a little bit of area, to try and see how far you can walk forwards and backwards. Now the conditioning comes in where if we are holding, this is what we're going to do together. So we're just going to hold our crab position, and then we're going to try and lift our hand and touch our shoulder. And then we're going to lift our hand and touch our shoulder. Lift our hand and touch our shoulder. And other one, and we're going to do one more, touch, one more for each, and last one. Okay, then we'll come down, and that one's going to be a lot of pressure on your wrist too, so we want to make sure we kind of roll them out. Overcorrect, we were just in this position, so we want to make sure we overcorrect and do it in the other direction, so that way we can release some of that pressure that we have. Another great alternative, or another option for a crab position is going to be crab and lifting up one leg and seeing how long you can hold it, and then putting it down. Lifting up your other leg, seeing how long you can hold it, and then putting it down. Now, seeing how long you can hold it means you guys can probably hold it for a while. But if your wrists start to hurt, or if you kind of start getting off balance, make sure that we don't hold it too long, okay? Just alternating between both is a great option for those as well. So that's crab. Moving on to bear crawl. So a bear crawl is just the opposite of a crab walk. So a crab walk, we had our hands and feet on the ground and our hips were lifting up, okay, the tops of our hips. Now for a bear crawl, it's probably gonna sound similar to what you think it is. We're gonna be pretty much flipped over. So our hands and feet are still gonna be on the ground, but our hands this time will be just facing normally. So our fingertips are gonna be facing away from us, our feet are gonna be smushed, and our bottom's gonna be a little bit higher in the air, okay? What we normally would do is start with bent legs, and then pretty much just crawl around, just like that, okay? You can go forwards, backwards, sideways. You can do the sideways with the crab walks as well. But once that feels a little bit too easy, or if you want a little bit more of a challenge, you can try it with straight legs, okay? Try walking around with straight legs on your hands and your feet. Now the conditioning part of this would be hands and feet on the ground. We'll start with bent legs and touching our shoulder and touching our shoulder and doing shoulder taps, okay? It's gonna help teach us to learn to transfer our weight and get some conditioning and to build our muscles as well. So that's an awesome, great conditioning tip that we can do at home. All right, now we're gonna move on to jumping jacks. Good old jumping jacks. So a jumping jack is consisted of two body positions. We have what I like to call, we either in gymnastics call it a straight body, or I like to call it an I if I'm teaching my preschool kids. So, because we kind of look like an I or a pencil or whatever straight shape works for you or whoever's watching. You can call it anything, but we have a straight body, and then we jump to an X. So our feet are in straddle, our arms are in a V, and then we shift back to our I, and then go back to our X, okay? And you can also go arms down here, which is typically what you would do is I, like a pencil body, jump to an X. I, X, I, X. Now this is one of a conditioning, I don't know, know what the word I'm looking for is. This is a type of conditioning that is pretty difficult for really anybody who has not picked up on it. It's a lot of coordination that it takes to be able to go back from X and I. Slowing it down is the best way to get better at it. So if you're able to do it a little slow first and break it down like that, and then slowly kind of start trying to get faster and go X, I, and then slowly trying to put them together, that's gonna be a great way to get these jumping jacks down, okay? So any day, anytime, whenever you're wanting to bust out some jumping jacks, give yourself a number. It can be 3, it could be 5, it could be 10, 20, however many you want to do. But I want to see everybody doing some jumping jacks and getting moving. This is a great conditioning exercise that's going to burn some energy, get your body moving, and it does not require a lot of space. Most of these do not, so that's the plus about them. They can really be done anywhere. Okay, I have my list of stuff so that way I wouldn't forget anything. We are going to move down to, okay, I think we'll do, okay, we're going to do 2 more exercises, then we're going to go over some basics, and then we're going to wrap up our video. So we are going to do some calf raises. Now, for my younger ones who are like, what is calf raise? What we're going to do is we are going to stretch to our ceiling as tall as we can, almost like a jump, but we're not going to actually leave the ground. So what we're going to do is we're just going to swing our arms down. We're going to lift to the ceiling as tall as we can on our tiptoes, and then we're going to come down. We're going to lift to our ceiling tall, and then come down. Now you can notice that my toes aren't leaving. I'm in releve, if you will, if you've heard that term, or I'm on my tippy toes. Same thing. So when we swing, lift to our toes, and come back down. Swing, lift to our toes, come back down. Now, if you don't want to use your arms, you don't have to, but it is definitely going to help you reach tall and making sure you're getting as high on your tiptoes as you can, and then coming back down to your heels. These would be called calf raises, okay? And that's a great thing, too, to see how tall you can stretch. Even adding in some jumps with them if you really wanted to do a calf raise and then try and jump, and then do a calf raise and try and jump. You can definitely mix this up with some other exercises. Okay, I think we're gonna go ahead and move on to some gymnastic things, and then we're going to close out our video. So, other awesome, active, getting moving, getting our blood flowing activities, we're gonna go over some of our jumps. So, we have straight jump, which I just talked about. Straight jump is gonna be really, really tall and straight. Okay, when you jump, you wanna see how tall you can jump, but staying super, super straight like a pencil. Super, super straight. Okay, we don't wanna bend our legs. Because if we bent our legs in a jump, what would that be? That would be a tuck jump, which is what we're gonna talk about next. So, make sure we stay super, super, super straight, really trying to push through your toes and seeing if you can jump without bending your knees at all. It is very, very possible. So, that's gonna be a challenge for you guys to see if we can get our jumps down without bending our knees, okay? Moving on to our tuck jump that we just touched on. A tuck jump is when our knees come up to our belly and we tuck our knees. So they're not straight, it's not a straight jump, it's a tuck jump. Now what happens a lot when we jump is we tend to like to jump and kick our bottom, okay? What we wanna focus on is kind of being like a kangaroo, and when kangaroos jump, they jump really high, but they're also able to get their knees up, okay? So what I like to do is put my hands in front of me, and I like to try and jump and touch my thighs. You guys can hear that because I'm wearing a skirt today, so you're able to hear it. Jump, try and touch your knees in front. This is gonna help you guys start getting your knees up in front as opposed to kicking your bottom and leaving your knees down. When we leave our knees down, our hips aren't going anywhere. We're just kind of kicking our bottom. We might move them a little bit, but when we start bringing our knees up, our hips start to rotate up, which is gonna help us with forward rolls. It's gonna help us with backward rolls. It's gonna help us with back tucks when we get there, which is pretty far out, but lots and lots of things build off of these basic movements. So we wanna make sure we are starting early to get you guys used to tucking up, so that way when it comes time to use this movement, we've got it down, we're ready, and that's not gonna stop us from getting our skill. Okay, last one of our jumps we're gonna do today, we're gonna do straddle jump. So straddle jump is really easy to start, for sure. We can start hands on our hips, and we can jump open and close. This would be like an open close jump. We wouldn't quite call this a straddle jump, but open, close. Kind of like the jumping jacks. When you can jump and get your feet back together, when you can jump open and get them back together super fast, that's awesome. Because for a straddle jump, we don't want this in between paws, okay? But for my young ones, this is exactly what we want to start with. But once we kind of get a little bored of this, it's way too easy because we're awesome and we are killing it with our open close jumps, then we can make it a little bit harder and go to our straddle jump. Now our straddle jump will be hands on our hips and we're gonna jump open close. Okay, did you notice that I didn't have a pause in between? I did my open close so fast that by the time I came back to the ground, my feet were already back together. That's what we want for a straddle jump. So we keep the hands on our hips, go open close, just like that, okay? Now, just like with some of our conditioning stuff, with these 3 basic jumps, a straight jump, a tuck jump, and a straddle jump, you can put these all together and put together a little combination sequence. Maybe do like a straight jump, then a tuck jump, and then do those back and forth, or add in some straddle jumps. There are so many different combinations you can make with these, and see how many you can do in a row correctly. That would be super, super fun. If you guys decide to do it, have your parents video it and tag champions, because we would love to see combinations you put together with all these jumps. I would love that. Okay, last thing we're gonna go over. It'll be super fast. We are gonna go over some seesaws, okay? Seesaws are kind of like the ones you see at the park. You're like, seesaw, what is that? It's kind of like the ones you ride at the park. So what we're gonna do, a lot of you guys might notice as a tiger tail, it's the same thing. There are lots of different terms for the same skill in gymnastics, especially some more basic ones. So tiger tail, seesaw, same thing. For a tiger tail, we're gonna put our favorite foot in front, whichever foot that may be. You can pick either front foot. It's actually great to do it with both feet, favorite and not favorite, because it's great to work your bad foot as well as your good one. So, good foot in front or bad foot, whichever you wanna do. We are gonna start transferring our weight from our back foot to our hands. And we're gonna put our hand on the ground, we're gonna lift a foot, and then we're gonna come right back down, foot on the ground, arms up. Okay, this would be a seesaw. And a tiger tail, same thing, okay? What we really, really wanna focus on is making sure that when we start going to put our hands on the ground, we're lifting off of our back foot and just standing on our good foot or whichever foot is in front, okay? If we are not, because the seesaw at the park, one side stays up, one side stays down, but then they switch. They're never both down and they're never both up. That's exactly what we want our body to do. We want the top, which is our hands, and our back, the bottom, which is our foot. We want them to move together, touch, and come back up. If we have that down, and that's super easy, we can add a tiny little hop, which would be a seesaw hop. So we would start the exact same. We put our hands down, and then we'd add a little hop, and then try and stand up, okay? I highly suggest getting to your seesaw first before making that jump, because sometimes it's a little hard when we've got to get that coordination down to be able to time our jump right when our hands touch the floor. So I would recommend putting hands down, jumping, then putting that foot back down just like this. Putting hands down, jump, pushing off your hands and getting your foot right back down to the floor, okay? And if that's a little easy, I know I might have some advanced preschoolers on this call. So if that's a little easy, we're gonna move it to, we can try and make that hop bigger, okay? So you can go from putting your hands down and then hopping to trying to hop as soon as your hands get down, doing a hop and getting right back to our lunge. Or we can try a little baby handstand, which a baby handstand definitely isn't our big normal handstand. A baby handstand is gonna be, instead of our foot that's in front just hanging while we're hopping, it's gonna try and touch our foot that's up in the air. Okay, so I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. So we're gonna go hands down, touch our foot, and come back up, okay? That would be the goal, is to be able to get your feet together. Again, if space is not permitted, still work those seesaw hops, still work the seesaws, balancing, trying to get your hands and feet to move as one. Try to not let one move more than the other, right? We want them to move together. And that's really all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you guys are staying safe and healthy at home, and we will see you guys in the next video.